Tene tatari chetnom banjal tene ngarange che jamni ji ki korre tene shirap ji korre ti korla tese kamu hyoju chungwa tene pe gabu chong la te nane mixal to ta tanda chetnom banjal to namba sanji pe chugola hyo tene tambi chuela tepatam mugu chi topala tuji che hyuji che dan te tsamda yo maze tene tanda chenam bandar pe tene ngarangi chue tenzo sen tenzo la to na na nyamli na wala tene ngarangi tabane tuji che hyuji.
First, Rinpoche says he's very happy to see you all and to have this opportunity to talk about the love, talk about compassion, and talk about wisdom. Also, he's very happy to see how you have this interest and faith and aspiration in the Dharma, and that he's very happy that you have come to this place out of your interest to hear the teachings, and that you are also studying and also practicing the Dharma. And so Rinpoche first like to thank everyone for that.
Tene ta te jesula ta cherdo tene ta thank you. Tene ta te ya cherdo ta chambata ni jes kite tene sta me suina ya tene ta che yenda nyomdo ndrelne de gobaje ta yenda nyomdo ndrelne de pe kapla yinchi minchi tene te cheki la pemba se jute kalchimbore tene cheki la pemba se na tene nika yabo unju yapata tene ta cheki la nepa se na nika dubun roji ba te cherna cheki la pemba se jo ta ngaranzo mem mangbo ta semchi mangbu gu usu de pa yina yo semchi chini gu usu de pa yina yo raung te tene ta te la somba sangpo tan tempa ta jepa sangpo tan tempa te kalchegi yo la tene ta te ya jepa sangpo tan tempa ta tene somba sangpo tan tempa jepa te la zo jamba tan ninji gu pa yin pe cherna tene jamba tan ninji kong ni kong te pelya te pe kalchimpo re la tene te jamba tan ninji pelya te ya ranghin ji ta nga jamba chimpo chegi yin ninji chimpo chegi yin somba zomchi tene pel tuki yo ma re junsen kari re se na nga ranzo ta tangpo ne susi ji wo tamal pa je nyamon pa ta namto mambo la kambe top ye pa yin pa songza tene namto tong tene nyamon pa la kamba te ma cha ne tene te taindo shamba tang niji tang hira tang yihi te kone kong te pel gu pa re la tene te zi nyamlinga gone pel gu pa jire.
So we live interconnected with other people, and so as we are living in relation with other people, that if we benefit and help them, then this will be good for both us and them, whereas if we cause harm, then this is bad for ourselves and for others. And so whether we are living amongst many people, many beings, or whether it's within just a few beings, still we need to have good conduct and good motivation towards others. And in order to have that good conduct and good motivation, we need to have development of love and compassion. So we need to develop love and compassion, but it doesn't just rise naturally just through thinking I need to have great love and I need to have great compassion. that it's difficult for this compassion and love to arise and increase because we are habituated to all the kleshas or defilements in the mind and or the thoughts in the mind. We're habituated to having these for a very long time. So we have this strong habituation, so we need to be able to overcome and break down that habituation to these defilements and thoughts. And then having broken these down, be able to develop love and compassion. And if we can do that, then that's very beneficial. So this is something that we need to actually practice in order to develop it.
Tene ta te yang jerdo ta tanda tene chamni ji tang hirap ji on de se na ta tang bi chu ji on de se na tene kunzu song chu ka san to tan dong song chu ka sam si tene ta tanda chamba tang ni ji tang bo je pa tene chamba tang ni ji compare to tang ne tene ta te remji koni kon de perwa de la kunzu song chu ka sam ta tene ta te yendo kunzo chongchu ke semje ta te chongchu chu do semje pa ti tai ne tandam ke ne lu la tene tingen se che par chen gam ne nye mo ba tam chi zawa ne bang yi hi dang yen ten tam chi kong ne kong de pe wa de la tandam chongchu ke sem de chongchu ke sem nam ba ni sung ge yo re la tene te ya zawa kare re se na ta ngaran so la do dan zam ba 다 알아서 다든 좀 받대 녀모 바텀지 자와인 비쳤나 대봉야래 대봉야래 대 있나요 군조 정주그 생제 온드세나 되네 단진 람드시 비동아 숨기요라 되네 다대요 단진 람드시 바세도 되네 다 응은이가 온드세나 되네 ngarancho nga nyamta zepe yorte yo marete menaya tini yepa tardo tanda nongge ware tin no tardo yepa tarse ne daje yepa ta yin yepa tardo se ne tandam ga nelu go on de majeba kunzo nonso onzin de se ne da yepa tabuton yin yepa tabuji se ne tini yin senjin tamji dungale chapata dewala kepa 다 대답을 제기인 다 다기 대답을 제기인 som도 당진당 제비고니 삼바상포테다 장주그 센테 코니 콘데 페라와르세바인 베차나 텔라 당진람도 제비당 숨기요.
So in terms of love and compassion and wisdom, then one has what's called the development of the bodhicitta, the two kinds of bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. And so the development of love and compassion is the relative bodhicitta. And so in terms of relative bodhicitta, we develop a relative bodhicitta through this increase of love and compassion and increasing that. And then in terms of the ultimate bodhicitta, there's the development of wisdom, because the root of the defilements and the thoughts is the belief in a self or the attachment to a self. And so we need to eliminate that, and through a gradual increase in eliminating defilements and so on, and an increase of wisdom that we gain the ultimate bodhicitta. And so through the ultimate bodhicitta, there's the elimination of this attachment to the self. So that's in terms of the ultimate bodhicitta. But in the relative bodhicitta, there's the instruction on adopting this attachment to the self as the path. So, which means that in relative terms, that it seems as although there is no object that exists for our attachment to a self or to an I. We have this attachment to an I, but there is no such thing that exists. But still it appears in relative terms to us that there is the one's self. There is the appearance of there being self, and there's the appearance of there being others. And so in terms of just relative appearances and how things appear, then we practice in those terms. And in those terms of there being the idea of the self and others, then we think of I am going to free all these beings from suffering. I am going to bring beings to happiness. So in relative terms, along with the attachment or belief to a self, one develops the love and compassion, which is the development of the relative bodhicitta.
Tene ta teya tangpo ta kuzu sumchu kusen ki onto se na jangchu kusem tangpo gamba mayingba tangpo tene jangpa ta niji kompel to tanya che tang tene jangpa ta niji ki dosu tel kare yore se na da ji paransamba tene ngarang pe tsa chenpo yin ngarang deji ta tenpa gu ngarang jangpa yakpo gu sampa gu lo de ta de zi nye mo pa tam chi tsawa tene jangpa ta niji kondo menpele we tsawa rabo chi yin pe chen na de pongwar si pe ka tap de gang ge war la tene de yang tangpo gang pe kap so ta jitang ge sem nardo ne gu ge war sen nardo ne per se pa la tene tangpo ta ngara so tingen sen gang pe ka so la lu ji du tang ta sem ji ya tha ye pa le tangpo lu ji du tang ka on se na tene lu nam nong ke chu dai sung ke yo la tene lu nam nong ke chu dai se du ta ji tang ke lu ji chu de yapo je se na tene de sem de tembur neba re la teacher na ta tenda lu ji on de se na lu nong nong ke chu dan je na ne tang po de kang ba chil tung se du de la tene ta chitang ke su su lu ge ne tang mandawa yo la tene lu ji ne tang mandawa ye du de la tene tanda je kashi doji chitung cha na pe debo ma dewa kanya meba yo la tende ina doji chitung cha yang kashi doji chitung cha na ma dewa ya yo la de tabu ina yinchi minchi doji chitung cha ko yo ma re yang kashi ni chitung to de tene kashi tene yang de tabu yo de ma tu bandawo yana ya ta che yinchi minchi chitung ma je na gomcha ni jap ma tu bari besi na ma re ta khona kha debu de sin de pa de la tene te ya cherdo ta ngaran so tingen sen gom ka so la tene sem de tene hachang nam tu gi sun ro ma yin pa tene hachang singmu gi sun ro ma yin pa tene salpo ta tembo che la ne gu yo la te ne pa te tene lu jen du tang te ya te se kal che wa yin be chen na per na tanda nyal ne de na tene tembo yo re te yin ya te tene hipa mesalwa tene ga sin re din sain mo tep tene yo yin be chen na tene nyal ne gomba yo yo ma re la ya la ne gomba da bo ji se na te ya tene chitang ke hipa salbo da bo ji yo re te yin ya te la tembo dabu yo mare tan lang chana te che ka hizen roju leju sompache mato yo mare la teacher na inchi minchi de ne gong gu pa yin teacher na tene kang be ne de kang ba chil chung se ne lu na nong ke chu den je na ne ta ha chang salwa ma yin ba ha chang mu pa ma yin ba tembur ne pe che la tene kang ba chil chung cha ne de gu pa che ta tene 다 대전도 니바데 우리
and so there's there's the development of the relative bodhicitta, relative enlightenment mind, and but first one needs to work on developing the love and compassion and eliminating that which is like contrary to that love and compassion, and that which is contrary to it is the cherishing one's self, thinking that that one has to that oneself is very important and one needs to protect it and take care of it, and so just oneself alone. And so we need to overcome and eliminate that in order to develop love and compassion. And in order to do this, one needs to have one's mind in a state where it is naturally at rest. And so to develop that state of the mind being naturally at rest, then one needs to practice meditation. And in the instruction for meditation, there's the physical posture in which one should have in order to develop this state. And there's what's called the 7 aspects of the posture of Vairochana. And the first of these 7 aspects is sitting cross-legged. So one sits in these 7 aspects because it will bring naturally like stability of mind. But in terms of this first point, sitting cross-legged, then people's bodies vary. So some people can sit in what's called the Vajra posture, or generally in the West, lotus posture. One can sit in that posture very easily and comfortably. And but then other people who don't find it comfortable to sit in that posture, and if they don't find it comfortable, there's no reason why they have to. It's not compulsory to sit in that posture. And then other people can just sit, normally cross-legged comfortably. But then there are other people who can't sit comfortably cross-legged. And so does that mean then they're not allowed to meditate? No, that's not the case. That one can meditate. And what it means to meditate is that one's mind doesn't become very strongly involved in thoughts, or become deeply engaged in a state of stupor or dullness. And so that is why this posture is taught, because it said if we lie down to meditate, then lying down, that's very stable posture, but the mind can become like dull and drowsy, sleepy, and then if one could meditate standing up, and if we stand up, then the mind will be very clear, but at the same time it won't be very stable, and I'll keep having thoughts of moving or doing something. So therefore, that's why it said that for meditation one should be sitting down. So sitting is the posture for meditation, and that brings a stability which is naturally doesn't go towards being sleepy and unclear, and also brings a stability without there arising too many thoughts. So the first of these 7 aspects of the posture is sitting, and this is sitting cross-legged if one is able to do that.
Tene ta teya tanda te tamchi nang to somna chitang lujin tu tang te tene tokpa jumba madewa mepa dembole ro ta ta te song yo la tene te chi dam de pandabo zer de pandabo na de pandabo tene madewa mepa je debu je madewa chon teji lubo yongursi tene madewa tenzo mepasi debo lebu ngone tene deya de kalchege ware tate nonom ke chudenje nane tangbore tene nipa de tene lakparela tene lakpa de chitang ngaranso ta lakpa so de lekal leya pateya ta le lakpa la tene ta chitang ngaranso jitin sogo ba la teacher na lakpa la leka mambo yor leka mambo yodu tela leka la tene lakpa la tene namto mambo thol yor la tene lakpa te namto mambo cherdo tene na semte temboro ne pe cheto lakpa nyambar ya sege yor la tene lakpa nyambar ya se du tene zo dabo te khande nang yor se na lakpa pankala yembe tendo yepa ya ne ta sanje wa pa me ki yudang dabo che ne nyambar ya ba yung sung yor ta te nyam ya se Tende sunga yore. Re ten yina ya tsega onda se na nyambar ya se du kante sega yore se na lakpa nyam se du jay namkala yepa namkala char yamba sala zau de na ten lakpa ni nyambu mare nyam dun danda dabu ta te Taming dabu mepa shiv che shung dabu mepa ten debu ji ni ka ne ta te gam ge gegin ten su ge laptang la kaki pumi ten do yaban dabu tende mandawa nange yore la te kande nana ya chepra yo mare la ten do lakpa te leka mambo ji se pa yo chu yo tende se na nang to to ge jing se ge yore la te tabu ma yin pa che la lakpa nyambar yo
저기 예비tingla 연파샤.
yembetente
and so, and it's also said in the instructions that when one is sitting, one should be sitting, without any force, distress, any pain, and sitting very easily and comfortably. So when one is sitting, there shouldn't be any tension or force or any pain and so forth. And if that happens, then one should move the body so to dispel those difficulties. So one should be able to sit in a relaxed and comfortable way in order to meditate. And then the second point is where one places the hands. So we work with our hands. We work with our hands, hand things to people, and so our hands are very busy in worldly terms, and because they have to do everything, and so our thoughts kind of follow what our hands do, and so therefore it's said that the hands should be resting evenly or resting equally, and so that could mean there's this the posture of resting equally, of resting in meditation, in which the hands are in one's lap, with the right hand above the left hand. So there's that instruction. But then also, if one looks at the words, it says the hands should be resting equally or evenly. So if you sit meditating with, say, one hand on the ground, one arm up in the air, then that's not equal, that's not even, and so this imbalance then can give rise to different thoughts coming. So instead one can just have the hands resting equally on an equal level. So wherever it is one places them. So some people place them strong on the legs or on the knees, and so as long as the hands are just resting on an equal on the same level, then that's the next point.
Tene ta no ge chu den je na ni sumba te galchik tangbur sang sung li la tene lu ta te galchik ina ya rong te ta chitang lu tangbur sang ya te galchim pure tene ta tangbur sang gu pe jun sen de kan de jire se na lu ge na ne tene za de zun ro 자게 내당때 다 거라 되네 루보칸데 여바다르도 다 자된서 자 예는 로하다 자 예나가 자다 자존로보다 된데 된서 자된서 루지나네 로인드 되네 루당보르상나 자당본로요 루데 지 예르조 양르조 고 텐데 세나 테네테 자데야 데타르도 코라 조고 텐데 로기요 알라 테네 데타바 마임바 자탕보르도 테네 자탕보르나 고바 카리요 알세나 루탕나 자탕 세 루데 탕보르 사나 자데 탕보르 자데 당본로나 자탕나 롱탕 세텐 롱게 조아 텐저요 테니 제 가 데반다보다 소 데반다보 마임바페 데보 신는 로게 와레라 테니 롱탕나 샘탕 숭게 와레라 롱데 당보송나 테니 샘테 오코라 nom도 게 조안다보다 제 시무군 타바클라소 베게 제메바 데보 신 템보 네로인 비차나 테니 루데 당보르 상 다데 루데 쪼쪼나바 마임바 당부르상 그바제다 드니야 카히라 갑가라 루데데 고 쪼데반다보다 딘데 여나 야제 당부르상 무트바 nengonda boji yo na te yinji miji tambur sangwe yo mare kora ta zaga netang te kora debo chi ne roa indu te la tene ya yinji miji da je ngarang lu tambur sang thugu mendu lu tambur masang na gam jap thugu mendu ngarang gam jali kalba me pare sambata bo sem pambanda bo te go mare ta te kora lu di ka de je le ya ne gam jare te lu la je me panda bo ji na ko lu tambur sang ne de ju de kal chore.
The third of these 7 points, the 7 aspects of the posture of Vairochana, is to be sitting with these, to have the spine straight. So the one says, is the spine straight, or just sitting with one's like back straight, sitting up straight, is considered something that one should do, because in the body that there are these nadis or channels, and so there are these channels in the body, channels like on to the right, to the left, branch channels and so on through the body. And it's said that if the body is straight, then these channels within the body will also be straight, so they won't be bent and so on. And then if the channels are straight, then the airs or vayus within the channels will flow straight, and then the mind will be straight. So if we sit and we are like bent, to bend to the right or to the left or so on, then these inner channels, that they also will be bent or become like blocked or constricted, and then also the airs within them will not be able to flow freely. So if the body is straight, then these the channels will not be blocked, and then the airs within these channels will be able to flow without restriction. And then it says the mind will be straight, meaning the mind will be stable, will be able to remain stable all the time. So therefore there's this instruction to sit with one's body straight. But then there are some people whose bodies are like naturally like crooked or whatever. They are not able to sit completely straight. But therefore for them then the instruction is just to be able to sit comfortably in a way so that these channels are comfortable and be able to so that the airs can flow through them. So it's not that one should think, oh, my body is crooked, and so that means I can't sit up straight, so that means my channels can't be straight, so that means I can't meditate. So one shouldn't become like depressed or disheartened and thinking I'm someone who is no longer capable of meditating. So it's just one sits comfortably, however one is able to, and if physically one is capable of sitting with one's back straight, then one sits in that way. So that's that point for sitting with a straight spine.
Tene tateya jerdo ngaransoge sem korang seni de sarhin rikpa je ngupo doltupa mahimpa sarhin rikpi hiba jirela lugin seni de kanderesena lu pembo doltupa tene korang sarhin rikpa mahimpa pembo doltupa jire re te yinayon tati lusem ni de tanda chek dundel de payin lui la tene sem la tene lui ne de parela tati lui sem ni gen delba ne tante kandi se de ge yore se na tene lui la zaya pa to zala long tem pa to long la sem tene ta ne de pa im cherna tene tanda ngaranso sem nom to me pa lepo tempo ya boje la nyambre yok pe capsule la ya tene tige tene sem te tempo ne pe cheto luchin tutante ya bo.
So the characteristics of the mind is that it is like clear and knowing and immaterial, not like composed of atoms. But the body is matter, composed of atoms. It doesn't have clarity and knowing. But like in this life, there's this interrelationship between the body and the mind. So the mind is like dependent upon the body, and so therefore that is why for practicing meditation with the mind, that the particular physical posture for meditation is taught, and which is important.
Tene tate yendo tatanda yibate pumba kene lakpa pumba kene imbechana tene pumba la chitanga tanda tene pumba jang sinkinda yore tene te ya chitanga salung la sopa gamba kapje dutang ta tene tanda chitang ke hine tsam gamba kap ke dutang ni de kakayore tene tsalung gamba kap la lu de la de si tene shuk chimbo na poche drimba na poche go yore de se de tene lapa nyam yoga kap sa la ya tene kang btain to lapa ni pumba ni de jang ne pumba ni de magu ba chi ne thangpur sang ne de ge yore de ina ya tandang ngaran su hine gamba kala de ta bo main pa tene lepo si ne pumba ni de ka la yo tene thakpa ni bo te amangu de panda bo main pa pa jang ne de na te ngu de panda bo chi se na te chi simu ki jonda bo yung yore la tene te chi jati ne de na tene semba te salvo da bo yung ki chetla tene se de yore.
Then the fourth point is to do with the arms and the shoulders, and so I said that these are in the text. It says that these are like very like straight, but there's a difference between this posture in terms of when one is doing the practice on meditation on the channels and the airs, and when one is just doing like meditation on shamatha, on this peaceful stability of the mind. So if one is doing a practice on the airs and the channels, then that is a very concentrated practice, so a more concentrated, strenuous practice, and so in which the arms are kept very straight and shoulders like uplifted. So it maintains that most like strenuous posture, but in the general practice of meditation, for the arms, that means they should be kind of relaxed, as one is wishing to gain this state of mind that is just relaxed and free from like thought and stable, and so one just has the arms just relaxed, and even the arms at the sides of the body, and the shoulders not like stooping, so that because if the shoulders are stooping, then that can give rise to like dullness and stupor of the mind. So that is that point of just keeping them, the level and straight, even.
Tene ta te jisla kang ngaba te tene tanda andamba re la andamba chung zi go kashi ga nang andamba tak chutar go singken da ta te zi go te go go ba te kare ri se na andamba te khora rang yin ka go chitang ga lu tang bur sang na ya andamba khora rang yin ka go yo re la te go de ba te ma te zi gu pa nang yin de na te pe devo yung yore te menan rimba te ya sang na te ni che nam to ke te si yeng ru ki jon ra pote se gi yore la ti cher na rimba chung si go se ta khorang ne ta ra nam go ne de ba te la ta per na zen ge gom de tempe ge ge gi nang kin te chu ki song na tene mani di tesi nang chuk da poche mani tesi nang chuk song ta tenda chikpa insa de ta te se du te si tende nang na tene te sen te la nomi ying do da mo mai ba tene te si nang ka le ya cha na ying do da poche yong gi wa la te ta ying mo do che to la tene sen tende ba te si go
Then the next point is about the throat, and it says that the throat should be. The instruction says the throat should be like bent, like a hook, bent slightly like a hook. Is this instruction? And this, in fact, is just describing how one's throat and neck it naturally is if one is sitting in this sitting up straight. So it naturally becomes like that. Basically, that one doesn't have the throat kind of raised upwards, and if one does that, then all kinds of thoughts will start arising. So it said that the throat should be bent just a little. So in Zen, people teaching Zen, they say the chin should be pulled in slightly, and basically it's describing the same thing. So in order to gain stability of mind and not to have thoughts arising, one doesn't have like the chin like upraised or the throat upraised, so which will bring thoughts to come, but one has it's slightly bent in.
Tene tupate che yakin le jar sungli warela. Che yakin le jar sinkite che tap dan gubate che yakin la majar na tene kanone che dang jirmayong. Tene jirmati me ya te namto je tige sen ne maju bache ta tende yungi warela. Che yakin le jar ga nan jirmati yungi yo marela. Tene teacher na namto manto ve jinse pa. Namto manto ve jola tanda che yakin le jar wate tupa.
Then the sixth point is having the tongue against the upper palate, and so because if that isn't so, then if like saliva can be coming into the mouth, and that's followed by lots of different kinds of thoughts arising, whereas if one has the tongue remains against the upper palate, then saliva will not be coming, and so that will help with the development of stability of the mind and prevent lots of different thoughts arising. So that's the sixth point, tongue against the upper palate.
Tene ta te jesala meg tatang rela dambate. Meg tatang te tanda tene ta tela ya meg tatang la tawa cheparda bo yungi warela. Tene te ya tene muti tsombe jendo ta. Tene nyentu ngopen turdu ta. Dorji jinji tekar ta sumanda bo tende warela. Tene kashi ta che muti panda bo che yena ta jitin che muti pe tawa tela phal chewa tela ta chulu mandawa tawa mandawa la ta kari ware se na ta sene jinji tene che ye hla che ge zuare nang rang senji dedu te hla che ge zuare ta tela hla tela solwa tab gre hla ti ge jisun se gre senken da bo yare tene te la ya che se na gu pa chen bo yare kariri se na ta che ngarange senchi lo pa che samba ngen banda bo ta che pa ngen banda bo tende chi se na hla ti chen ro gre samba ten hi pa ye ten da bo ya bu yung yo ara ti chen na hla ji yo re so ma tene ti hla te ta nga kanga no la ya nam kha la yu ye pe chorwan da bo yung yo ara la ti chen na ta te la sorwa ta pa yin te la te pa to ngu che pa yin ti ge zai yung samne ta te nam kha la ya ta ne gom ja pa tu jen da nam kha la ya ta wa da bo tende che ge yo ara tene ngaran su gom ja tende nam kha la ta ge yo ma re la tene te jen da nyen tu ngo pe thor da ta sun di nyen tu pa ten ju kan de se na ta ngaran pe nang to ma ba che gre nyen mo ba che gre nyen mo ba ma che wa che se gre tene pa chen da man da jin thong na ya na he da che ya na te mu che ya na da sha che ta ten de yung gre te le ma ta na ma me phap ne ta na te ga gre so nyen tu ngo pe thor da ta se ta ngaran so song ho do ji te pe ga la do ji 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 te karta sun te la do ji ji te ta ti ge ta ya la la so wa ta pa da bo yo ma re la nye mo ba la to ni man thor te te pa da bo yo mai pa te ka la Teka ta na teni chitang ke noa je char ge yore besin noa je minam tong tong ge yore de tong na yo ti ge zuk mandawa ta khado kasir mar jong la so pata yep je namba mandawa kande chin tong na ti ji s nong to ta mandawa je teni sem khorang ge sem khorang ge ngo de la temba tang hi yin tang pa ye pa te ne ne na teni khorang me gin tong na ya te nepandrapa kanya yunga yuwa maare megi mantana ya chebara shira yuwa maare megi nombra hipi jisu mandongwa che ne tene gamjaya te kalchewa impichir na ta tela tene tanda te sunga yuwa re dumba te meg te karar tawala.
Then seventh is about the eyes, and so how one is looking with the eyes. And so there's a verse in the teachings about saying how the the Tirthakas look upwards and the Shravakas look downwards, and then there's the direct Vajra gaze. And so this means that the Tirthakas, meaning non-Buddhists, so there are many different religious paths, and in some of them there's the view that the world is created by a god, and so when meditating that their eyes should be focused upwards so that they can be thinking of that deity and developing devotion towards that deity. And so this is something which can be good and beneficial, because then the person is thinking if they do bad things, bad conduct, and so on, then that deity will be aware of it, can see what it is they do, and so by meditating, looking up at that deity, and so they're thinking, I have faith and devotion in that deity, I've been praying to that deity, and they develop this. It helps to develop this mindfulness and awareness to avoid doing bad actions, because they're aware of the deity that is observing them. So, but then in the Buddhist tradition, then we don't have that view. I'm going to sneeze. No, and then so there you have in the Shravaka and the lower paths of the Dharma, of the Buddhism, that they're looking downwards, because in that approach there's the fear of the defilements, the kleshas. It's negative things that arise in the mind and the thoughts that arise in the mind. So there's the feeling we don't want any of these things to arise, and so if we see things, if we're aware of things and colors and forms and so on, then that can cause this like anger to arise and ignorance to arise, desire to arise, and so therefore in the meditation the gaze is directed downwards as to avoid seeing things. Then in the Vajrayana or Mantrayana tradition, then where there is what's called the Vajra gaze, which is just looking directly forward, so not looking upwards towards the deity or looking downwards out of fear of generating the defilements and thoughts, but we're just looking at whatever there is. So we see, all the different colors, white, yellow, blue, red, green, and all the different kinds of shapes. So they do appear. Like we see everything in a mirror, whatever. But although we visually perceive all these things, that we don't become involved with them. We don't get involved with thoughts about them, and therefore don't develop the defilements. So in this tradition, it's that in terms of how we direct our eyes, the meditation, we just look directly in straight in front of us.
Tene ta te jis la ta tanda te tabu luni namnong de chu dandan dempe go ne tene ta tangbo san nal ne pe ka la lung te si gom jure la tene ta lo jong ka ti gi nang to song na lung chang ni chu ta ji gam sung ri yore 다 롱탕이 기자지 데 하장 마마마인바 하장 영마인바 당이 기자지 잠문감바 다데 감베게 쳇도 당보 롱로살세게요 롱로살세나 롱데 다 류기낭도에 파테파테 장만다부지 소야게 쳇도 롱로살세게요 tene te lungro satsul la mandawa yore tandang aratsu hinne gambe kapje lungro satsul tang tene ya zalung la sopa gambe kap la lungro satsul kaka yore zalung la sopa gambe kasala te se takpo ndabu je tene luge tongtap ndabu mandawa sine lungro salge yore te yina ya tanda hinne jangba gambe kasala te tabu mayimpa kote ka la tangpo tene lapa ni pumutendo yepate lapa yepige tenin habu yepate ko ne yamba ne long talbu chil tang ne hyo che cham chil tang ne len som ta tenin lapa yembige nabu yambate ko ne nabu yepane long len som ta tenin lapa ni pumutendo yo ne tenin habu nika ne long len som to celebrate tenin te hachang hiệu chiao mà hình ba thế nên ta để phá trong mà đâu có gì thế này thế là lung ro bapa go chu se cái đó là thế lên go đâu có gì thế này go.
And so with with the posture of Vairocana, the 7 aspects of the posture of Buddha Vairocana, that then one does meditation on the breath. And so it's just like one does meditation on mindfulness and awareness of the breath up to like 21 times. So not doing it for too many times, so just 21. But that is for doing shamatha meditation. It's preceded also by expelling the dead air or the dead breath. So that is in order to clean oneself out. But there are different methods of doing this, expelling the dead air, many different methods. And in the practice on channels and the airs, then there's a more forceful technique for expelling the dead air. And then when we are just doing general shamatha meditation, then there's the method which is more relaxed. And so we sit with our hands on the knees, and then we place the index finger of the right hand onto to close the right nostril, and then we breathe out through the left nostril, just gently and then a bit more strongly. We do that 3 times. And then put the right hand down and then use the left hand to close the left nostril, and then exhale through the right nostril 3 times, and then have both hands on the knees and exhale through both nostrils 3 times. And but we do this fairly gently, not with great force. And so in this way there are 9 exhalations. So there's the sequence of 9 expulsions of the dead air from the body.
Tene ta tela te jesu tene ta ngaranzo sem temporo ne pese to la tanda hyuba naging loni hizaji te dangjure la tene loni hizaji te dang bekapsala ta te je long rang o te ranging kande tangge yapate mato long de taldu tawayo mahimpa long de njodo tawayo mahimpa khora tujundu ngarang long kande se tangge yapatarto tane ta chitang long gom tap te mandawa mambu yore de ina ya tanda ta chitang tene chambata nije gom be tap chit ngandro da botela lo jong ngandro da botela lo ni ta chi de dang be kapso tene long de chiron ro ayo do kapso la long de chiron ro ge ba ha ko che long de nang dung be kapso la long de nang dung ge ba de ha ko che tene te tang che da bo tene te che yen da ge nga ge go ne dawanda bota tene lakpi ki dawanda bo mai pa kona rangin ke sem ke tene nam te angrang te manoro wajin tene ya long cher ndo wa yong hi nang dong ba yong hi tene long tang ni tene long cher ndo wa hi nang dong ba yong hi ne som ta tende jin ni cha chi ke par to sem te tene lepo sine hachang ke tene ripa dremne tita indo tepa yo maiba ko maji pa manoro wachine hako wache ta tela mi mixal ke inchi minchi ripa drem ko yo mare ngarang long tang yo are long te tu jon do yin long tang yo are tin long chel ka du tang yi nang do ka du ngo gi hako yo mare latin tanda nang chir tang wa nang do ngo pa te hako yimbe ngang ne tene ti tangka te manuro wache ne gomte loni sachi ke parto dane tate sen nalto papeke jonda wache la kogi ore.
So and then having done that, then in order to develop this stability, peaceful stability of mind, that we do the counting of the breath up to 21 times. So there are many different methods for meditation on the breath, but like in the preliminaries for it's called the mind training, the lojong, there's counting the breath up to 21 times. So when we do this, that our breath should be just natural, just as it naturally is. So we don't slow the breath down, we don't speed the breath up, just our natural breath as it is, and we just then aware that we are exhaling, and then when we breathe in, we are aware that we are breathing in, and then we count that as like 1, and then we're aware that we breathe out again, and aware that we breathe in, and then that's 2, and so on, and going up to doing that up to the number 21. And when we do that, we don't do that very forcefully. Mind does not need to be tense and using effort, because we breathe naturally all the time, so there's no effort that needs to be involved. It's just that normally we are unaware of whether we are at present breathing out or breathing in. So we don't need any effort, just merely being aware that the breathing is occurring, and not making a mistake in our counting of the breaths. So no strong effort is required. So just in a relaxed, one is aware of the exhalation and inhalation, and one doesn't forget that, and does not make a mistake in the numbering, counting, going up to 21, so that the mind can come to a naturally relaxed state.
Tene ta te ta ga kapsula lu ji ni te ya ta tanda jitang ge no nong ge chu den te koran changwa ji go ge yore changwa ji go ge yore te yin ya te je pe hyu dam ne drum ne lu ji chuk ta ma yin ba lu pu ngo ne pa je kar che ge yore la yun sin teacher na ta ngaran so je ge ta je dongwa ge zo tambe dongwa nongking ge zo de la ma ji lab ji drama so ma ji lab ji drama ge song na lu ni za ye le ba ji song ai re lu ni za ye le ba ji sung de la ta ji ta za ye lu ji ni de kan de go ge se na de ni ji tang ge nong nong ge chu den ja go ge nong nong ge chu den ja go ge de yin na lu ji za ye la ba ni gang ba ni ge nang de jo yan wa ge za de dan lu ji nang ge za den zo ha jang drum ga ba ma yin ba le bo sin de le de ya ya de kal che wa re de so wa re la yun si ti se na ha jang ma drum ba ha jang hyu ma gang ba de ne le bo ya ya de kal che gre de ne de ya ka hi de ne gam ja du de se ka le kha wa nang yin ka hi de se zu bo ma de wa nang yin yung ge wa re la ti jun sen ka re se na de se zu bo de drum ya ba ta hyu gang ya ba da bo ji de ne yung ge wa re sem de se na do pa on de ka hi de se zu bo de hyu gang ya go re ti hyu ma gang ba ji le bo si ya ji de ka che.
So in terms of the physical posture, it says one should have all of the 7 aspects of the Vairochana posture, but it shouldn't be done with effort or with force. So one should be sitting in a relaxed state. Then the teachings of the Che, these cutting teachings, that the main teacher for the Che is the Machik Lapchi Dronma. And Machik Lapchi Dronma said that, in meditation, it's that the 4 channels should be in a relaxed state. And so that means all the channels in the body and the channels in these, the limbs, the 4 limbs, the legs and the arms, that they should be relaxed. So though one is sitting in this posture, one should be relaxed, because some people have a difficult time, or they have pain and so on, physical discomfort, and this is because they are using force in sitting in this posture, force and tension. So there shouldn't be any force or tension. Instead, one should the body should be always in a relaxed state.
Tene ta te ta no no gu chu den de jawa de be kal chi bure karere se na tanda tapu ta hin nam jel gin ze pe gom ta chaja chimbo de ni sawa singin tinama tene luni yabu je ja ne de na luni changba ge san la ne san ye pa ya kap ka la yung gre kha chi la tende yung gre tende so yo wa la yun sin teacher na luni yabu sang ne.
But it's very important to be able to have this meditation posture, this posture of Vairochana, because Dakpo Tashi Namjal, in his teachings on illuminating the truth, or illuminating the true nature, he says that there are people who just by maintaining this physical posture, able to bring their mind to rest in a natural state, just through the posture alone. So therefore it's important to be able to maintain that.
Tene ta te tardo gomne tene ti ji la tarang jelap top ki chirnda bota semla lecha ni pe ki chirnda bote la tene rang ji chu la rang so su ki chawe la ma su ina ya nda la rang so su ki chawe la ma la ichi chepar ji yo na te gom te mai na ta rang ge yedam je la la so ba la ichi chepar ji yo na te gom kan tar ya ta zo rang ge chu la je gom ne tene te la te pa to mu ji ne te je we ge nam ba la chur ne we je kom bu te tene rang ning ga la tem Ningala timbi tini tige je rang ludan semje je medewada tini namto rakpala soba tinzo salson sombengone tini te se lepor nyambriyago.
And then in order to receive blessing, and in order to make one's mind relaxed, though we imagine above our head that there is one's own root guru, one's principal teacher, whoever that is, and in form of Vajradhara, or whatever yidam deity that one has conviction in, that one can imagine the deity above one's head, and then that melts into a light and merges into oneself, eliminating from oneself all illness and impurities, and so that one can rest into a relaxed state.
Tene tateya tanda tiji sula tene tetabu gamba kabla je chunam mulam tabur som se tene taje sente naldo papike chir taboji inayanda tene tatejendo chuji nelu topike chir la inayanda tene te toni ke number tabu chunam mulam tabur som se kangala tangaranso je zamba chimbo yore chig nongwa la zamba chimbo yore nang samla zamba chimbo yore Tin zamba chimbo te kyambe ke cherzo tene kanga mlamda bojire nimbo hiro yo mare sambata bo tene chege noa le na ya chagyen ta kahi yapore samba kahi dubore sambata bo chagyen ta hedan la soba machewa nang san le na ya teta bu ke zamba chimbo me ba chutangji mlamda bore samne te lepo nyambar yo.
And then there's the instruction to see all phenomena as being like a dream. So, and does this in order for the mind to come to a natural rest in its natural state, or one could say whether to it's realizing the true nature that one sees, all phenomena in this way, the phenomena as being just a dream, because we have attachment to external appearances, and we can have attachment to our own mind. And through attachment to external appearances, we see some as good and some as bad. So we're developing attachment to certain appearances, and aversion, anger to others, and so on. So to overcome this attachment to the mind and the appearances, and that we see all phenomena as being a dream. And also internally in our mind, there's similarly this kind of attachment to the mind, and so we overcome both these kinds of attachment by seeing all phenomena as being like a dream externally and internally, so that then we can rest in a relaxed state.
Tene ta te kapsala ngarang chog sem luidang sem niginan sem te kandiri se na sem te chitang salwa se na weg salwa na yin yo arbe se ni yo mare kanga hako kanga hi kanga tong ta tende ke sem te la tong ata hiba imbe chena salwa se la teni inaya korang ngupo doji ke nambale yo are besini yo mare ngupo drup nambale yo mare junsin teacher na sem korang tseni yo baga salai senji tseni de sarhin ripasung yo are la ngupo drup nambale yo mare teni te ta tanda namtu mambu je ne gam maja baga la namtu mambu je ne teni namtu te si mepa debu ji yo na pe pento chimbo yo tene namto de kandi chege yo re sen namto te la chitang ngaran so namto la gewe number to ba yo ta che pensem chamba ninje tepa mugu la so gewe number to ba yo mambo che ji yo re ta te yendala che la hedang ngajal thado la so pa gewe number to ba yo mambo che ge yo che ji yo re la ta ti ni ge na ni ngaran so tujondo namto kari che ge ndo te na tene te chi gewe number to ba de man so gewe number to ba te sam chi mato pa da gewe number to ba chi na ya te chi cholwa chi ne chi gu pa da ko che gewe number to ba chi na ra yin ki jong de pa na yin che yo re la teacher na gewe to ba te chi nyong do ta ya te kal che wa te yendo tanda tene namto la namto chorwa te la pe chipo yapo gabo namto je da tene chipo me pa semti dungal chohi rabota tinde ke namto re ni wa la ti na ne ya kandi che ke do te na te ji semba chobo ta dubo ta semti ke namba te man za te re ma sung chong ma sung kan si ta tinde te chitang ke semjin sui na yong junju ye ba che da ti na ne ta ngaran so mela me dungal te derhin pombe dungal sung yo la derhin pombe dungal se te tanga tenda den rup ma sung che ma sung kam ma sung tan ri ma sung tu se gan da ma sung samne tela chembo che ta ri ma sung ta kam ke me cha che go re ni che go re sang sang che ta te ya pu chong ma sung ta te che tan ri ma sung sam ba te ti dungal te tu jondo ta te si yo la teacher na tene ti ke central ta dungal ke number to ba te che mangbo yo are ta te la khari gugre se na central to dungal ke nam to te la ti nguni tindi gupa je ribisina hirag di pento yaba je da gupa chenpo chenche kanya yo mare semba te lese yo na tindi semba di jibo nuwa tangbo kom tangba yabu yungu yo re la tindi junsin teacher na sem te namdo ke hirag jesu manungwa sem namdo ke jesu manungwa te kande chi gu grisina temba ta hi hini bo te yabu je ta ni tindi ta te song ni yabu je se ne sem te lepo talbu jibu ngal so nang yin ji
So we would have said that in terms of the body and the mind, that the mind has clarity. That doesn't mean that like the mind has light, but the mind has like understanding and seeing and knowing, and so that's what's meant by clarity. It's this seeing and knowing is what is meant by the clarity of the mind. And so normally that there can be many like thoughts that are arising in the mind, and so we need to be able to diminish these thoughts, make the mind pleasant with like an absence of thoughts, because there are many kinds of thoughts that arise in the mind. There are like good thoughts, thoughts like faith and aspiration and love and compassion and the wish to benefit and so on. And then there are also kind of negative thoughts and thoughts of pride and envy and anger and so on. So there are many different kinds of thoughts. So there's these like two like sets of thoughts, good thoughts and bad thoughts. But normally we have most thoughts like the negative thoughts, because it's very difficult to develop the good thoughts, the positive thoughts, whereas the negative thoughts all kind of arise naturally by themselves. So we need to be able to diminish the number of thoughts. We have to diminish all these negative thoughts so that the mind can become more pleasant and comfortable. Then also, we have like happy thoughts, very nice, pleasant sensations, thoughts that are nice to have, and thoughts about good things. And then there are also thoughts of unhappiness and sadness and worry. And so normally, the majority of our thoughts are of the second kind. And so with worrying and thinking, I wasn't able to do that didn't go right, and I need to do this, how can I possibly do it? And so we usually have lots of these thoughts of worry, saying, all right, there's that one thing I wasn't able to do, there's that second thing I wasn't able to do, I've got to do that one thing, and I've got to do that second thing, and how am I going to get around to doing all of these? So we have all of these thoughts, and then we think, well, are they actually necessary, and do they serve a purpose? No, not really. And so what we need to do is to have the mind be able to be just relaxed. So if you can become relaxed and in a pleasant, comfortable and peaceful state. So that is what we need to accomplish.
Tene ta te tabu gomba la jitang ngaranzo ta tombi chuju on de sena sen ne pe tab go sungki ji yare tina ne ta le tangpo pa ge ta tangpo nga zam nyam ne sena pe ya bu yare la tene te ya tangpo te tina ne tangpo ta tina ne tangpo te kandire sena njokpa sungki yare la tene te njokpa se de ta hi hyupa nang king ke luni tenzo yakpo je je ne ti ji su sem jokpa se tu teni sem te nom to ke on to jis mandang wa je tra se sem bat lepo se ne yin tu tu je la jokpa se tu te ne kap nom to ke jis mandang ten tembat hi yin ki yapo je ha ko je ta dandang nom to je ge yo mare nom to ra ba hi ra je ge yo mare ina ya samsara ki jende ga ge yo mare samsara ki ripati khora yore di ina tel nom to rakpa tende je ge yo mare tende tel jokpa se ge yo te khora sam te kal yo na te ya yore tel jokpa se ge yo ta tin jokpa te yin tun tun je la yo yin tun tun je la yo tel jokpa se 다 딘조바 때 장박은 되게 베시나 때때진 되게 말해 다때 니바 야 지당네 야 컴페르도 당네 니바 때라 yen 퉁퉁 야바 마인 바티 시엔 렌도 당 준든 조바 니바데 조바 준든 조바 신 젠레인 시시 때 지렌도 때 지렌도 당네 당보 다 간디시 야고게 야바티 드네 야야베게 철때 야보지 전에 드네 준든 조바 신 때 지렌도 당 te zi jen ren zi tang, te le te zi jen ren zi tang, ten te zi ne, jun dun jok pa si. Ta te tabu tangbo jok pa si, ni pa jun dun jok pa si. Tene ti kaab sala kare yung ge yuwa re si na, kaab che la tene nang to che kare. Ta jun dun jok pa ka sa, jun dun jok ma ta pa nang to che yung ge yuwa re. Nang to che ne, ta nga ran nyam pri ka tup ma song, samba tabu che ka sala kare go kare si. Len din jok pa si ge yuwa. 렌딩 조보세나 다디 나랑 동보 하고 야다 산 동보 넘버리 야바르 넘버리 야바르디 있는 디지 수능도 지어르 녀능도 지어와들 녀능도 지어와 임바 하고 두텔라 나다 빼면서 독자에서는 독자 말에 코나 통마 매바니 다 된대 요르 농도만 보제게 요르 데 코나 랑긴 지르 데 있나야 디지 순랑고 그래비스나 다 대페 디농도데 야포도 데 땡고 그래 삼바다보 디농도데 야포문도 데고 그래 삼바다보 마이바 나랑 검 잡게 요르 다히 넘버 야바레 조바도 준든 조부때네 야바레 단다야 데타르도 라리야 te nang tong chowa te ngo hi nang tong chowa ke je su man rong che ne te ne jun tong jopa ta len te jopa ten do zor nyam par ga ba te ne ya mai ba zang te ga ba te la len te jopa se te sumbar.
Then as for meditation, there are these what's called these 9 methods for mental stability, for stability of the mind, and so it's very good for people who are beginning to use 5 of these methods. And the first of these is just called resting. So that means that the mind is just relaxed and is at rest and is not involved in thoughts. And though thoughts are not arising, one is resting, that the understanding and the knowing and the understanding and the clarity of the mind does not cease. So that continues while there are no strong thoughts arising. So there's this presence of this mindfulness and awareness. And so this is called resting the mind in this state, which is there for us to directly enter, directly rest into. And but it lasts just a very short time. This is a very short time that one can just rest the mind in that way, without any strong thoughts arising, when there's still the awareness. And so it lasts just a short time, but it is there, and we are able to do that. So it's called resting the mind. But is that by itself enough? That no one needs to be able to increase that and develop that. So there's what's called continued resting. So there's to continue it through having this mindfulness and awareness, be able to make it continue longer and longer. So one starts with just being able to rest in that state very briefly, and then one extends the length of time that one is able to rest in that state. And so, but when one is doing that, there comes a discontinuity when there's various thoughts arise. And so what do we do then when this occurs? So then there's the what's called repeated resting. So when we become aware that we have become involved in thoughts, so should we then think, oh, this is something bad? No, it's not something bad. This is what we habitually do, where our mind habitually is, throughout time. So this will naturally happen, that these thoughts will come and interrupt this state of rest of the mind. But then should we think, these thoughts are good, these thoughts are important, I really need to think these thoughts, that no one should be aware that these thoughts have arisen and they've interrupted the meditation. And with that understanding, then one does not become involved with the thoughts, but then one returns to resting putting the mind at rest in this relaxed state with mindfulness and awareness, and so this is called like repeated resting. So there are these three methods of like resting, and then continued resting and repeated resting.
Tene ta ti jesu ta chorwala khandi yungre na kapkalat ni ranging debo yakbo gamde yabondo kapkalati si namto mangdu songandabo tene namto de ngaranga kapmuto pandabo tene namto mambo je de pandabo ta tende namto de la te si hembandabo ji hyone te yabodo te inchi minchi kalchembore ti kola song tangure songsandabo ya kapkala yungre la te kalchembo kan yo mare ta te la kande gogre sena ta te tabu namto go ondu hyor namto de kapmato pandabo tene kapka la te made wandabo tende yunga te la kare gogre sena tene yebate tulwar sepata hyor ngabati yebate hyor sepata tene ngabate tulwar sepat namba ni yorela ta ti tulwar sepat hyor sepat tulwar sepat namba ni bote kande yina ya je ni bote ne gomna ti ge penkre ta ti ge tambo hyor sepat sidu kande resena tene ta tela je namto mepate gom yakboji chongna pe guba chimbo pento chimbo resam tingen zenji yenten trena tiki yang gong la mo pa cher do ne tini gong de yang gong pa ka sa la gong la twa ta gong la twa ta bu ji ne tini gong de tempo ya bu yong yo pa che ta tini ta ya tiki ma tu ban da bu ji chong na tulwar se ba se du te la ta che nam to ke chen nam to tiki ta te nga nye mo pa ma bu ji te la tini korwal du nga ma bu nyo nam to ma bu ji ne tini lu ma dewa sem ma dewa tene ngarang sawa mandupa te mandupa la sopa ta tinde chen mangbo chunga namto ke chen tin so gamna ya namto de te pa yu dewanda bo namto la chakpa ta hembanda bo te kal chembo re te yapo je re sombe namto ji chena te kal chembo mare tinne pa chal ge re te yapo yo mare sombe namto ke chen te somna ya namto de pa lawa da bo ta ka lawa da bo yung yo re la tene jun sin teacher na namto rakpa te che on the mandibanda boji chung kap tanala kari gogre se na teni tulwar se hiwar se ba to tulwar se ba ni bote che na te pen to gre.
So sometimes this meditation can go very well, so it's very peaceful and pleasant and relaxed. But then sometimes that there are like difficulties and there are many thoughts arising, and the meditation becomes uncomfortable, unpleasant. Like there can be thoughts arising and we think, oh, this is a very good thought, or this is something really important, so I really have to think about it. And so when these thoughts are arising, it becomes kind of difficult or unpleasant to do the meditation. One just isn't able to stop these thoughts. So what does one do then? It's just like one needs to tame the... There's the taming of the mind and pacifying of the mind. There are these two remedies, which are the fourth and the fifth methods. And the first is the pacifying, and then there comes what's called the taming. And in order to overcome these thoughts, in order to overcome being under the power of thoughts. So the first of these, the pacifying, is that when these thoughts are arising, we think about the benefits of meditation, that through meditation, all the good qualities that arise through having the mind, being able to have the mind relaxed and stable and peaceful, and thinking of these qualities, that then is like a pacification. So it pacifies the ones falling under the power of these thoughts. And then if that fails to work, and these strong thoughts are still arising, then there's the taming, which means thinking of the fault that come from having these thoughts, that they cause one, all of these like sufferings in samsara, cause one, to fail in accomplishing what one wishes to do, cause physical discomfort and so on. And so if one thinks of the negative aspects of all the the arising of these strong thoughts, then that can prevent one from falling under the power of them and then being able to meditate. So that way, when there are these thoughts that arise and one is falling under the power of them, thinking, this is something really important and I have to think about these thoughts and so on, and one becomes very involved in them, then one uses this remedy of the pacification and the remedy of taming in order to overcome that, and so one is able to return to being able to rest in meditation. So we'll stop there for this morning and do a little meditation.
Guru Engarma Pe Sam Do Je Samsara De Ta Ye Tele and Baba Yo Sanaim De Ye Tam Ji Zebani To Ni Ni Be Dana Thank you.